Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? I have my own story that I wish to share with you, and it goes on like this. I am a woman and I am here in Zim, and I hope that when I share my story with you, you will be able to assist me. So I found your number in a WhatsApp group where I do receive some of these confessions in audio. So I then took your numbers and I contacted you. I don't know, my child, if you can assist me. I never wanted to become a witch. I so hope that there might be someone who can assist me. Please do not get me wrong. There was a time when I thought that maybe the prophets or a pastor can assist me. I then contacted one pastor and I told him my story, and when he heard my story, that was when he said that he wanted me to go to his place. I then went to his place thinking that he was going to pray for me, but instead he wanted to see me in my spiritual form, because when I become a witch at night, one cannot look at me twice if you do not have spiritual powers without fainting, because I'll be so scary. So I'll be half human, half lion. So this pastor, after he had heard my story, he wanted me to transform myself in front of him. And I said, it's like asking a seer to just get possessed just like that. It is a process, and it depends if the spirit wants to possess you or not. Yet he wanted me to do that. So right now I am skeptical when it comes to those that are Christian, because usually what they would want you to do is to go to their church and then you give your testimony so that they can get a lot of followers. So I need help. I don't know if you know people that can assist me. I never wanted to become a witch, but it was because of the situation that I was facing at that time that forced me into becoming a witch. My mother-in-law was the one who made me to become a witch. Unfortunately, because of the pressure that I was facing in my marriage, I ended up contacting this other elderly woman in that same village where I got married, who was a witch as well as a traditional healer. As for me, I grew up in Harare. My mother was a nurse and my father was a teacher. Life was okay. I could not complain. And then I met my husband, who was a new police recruit. So he was stationed in Harare when we met. When I met my husband, he told me that there was only one small challenge. The small problem was that he had another woman whom his mother wanted him to get married to. This woman was back in his village, and he said that you need to understand that I am in love with you. This girl is being pushed in my life by my mother. And he used to say, like for an example, whenever he was with me in Harare, he will never have sleepless nights or bad dreams. But whenever he would go to his village, then bad stuff would be happening to him. He will be having nightmares. And if he will ever sleep with this girl, he will go for many days having terrible dreams, him sleeping with a spiritual wife. So that was the reason as to why he did not want to marry this girl, as well as the character of this girl. He did not like her character. He said that he was being forced by his mother. Since the mother had chosen this girl, he did not know what else to do, for he did not want to disappoint his mother. So even though we were dating, I knew that he had a girlfriend back in the village, but I was okay with it because he used to comfort me and said that he loved me, and he would say, look at you, you are the one that I spent most of my time with since he was working in Harare. It then happened that me and him, we started sleeping together. That was when I fell pregnant for him. After I had fallen pregnant for him, he told me to tell my parents, in which they knew that he was going to become my husband. But according to our Shona custom, when you have fallen pregnant, you cannot stay with your parents anymore. You have to be kicked out. So they kicked me out. And he said we had to go and stay together in the village. He was going to leave me in the village with his family, and then he will return back to the city so that he can continue working. So the day that we arrived in the village, my mother-in-law did not even have a phone, so she did not even had any idea that her son was bringing a pregnant woman whom he wanted to become his wife. She only saw us arriving. The day that we arrived, that was when she made it clear to me that I was not welcome at all, and I will never be welcome at her homestead. It was quite a terrible thing for her to say, but from the moment that we arrived, I saw her and my father-in-law. They were sitting outside, and when she looked at me, she got up and she went into her bedroom. She stayed there in the bedroom for many hours until her husband, my father-in-law, felt embarrassed with the humiliation that she was making me to go through. She then went to the bedroom and then called her. When she came back, she was busy insulting my father-in-law, and she said, "This girl, I don't even want to see her. I thought that through my actions, I had made them so clear. If she was someone who is not foolish, who thinks well enough, she could have seen that she is not welcome here. That is why I had locked myself in my bedroom. So why did you come to disturb me?" As she was looking at her husband, I went on my knees and I apologized to her, even though I had done her no wrong, but I was apologizing. I tried to show her that I was different from the city girls that she knew, and I was not a prostitute. As a matter of fact, her son had found me as a virgin, in which the girl that she wanted her son to marry already had a child. But when she heard me saying that her son had found me as a virgin, she laughed and she said, "Ha, there is no such a thing. You, with the prostitution that is written all over your face, why would you be a virgin, you?" She even said that her son would have slept with me whilst I was on my period, and I made her son to think that I was still a virgin, but that was not the case. My husband defended me. When I looked at my mother-in-law, I saw that she was evil-hearted. She was the one who controlled the whole family, and all of her sons, and as well as their wives, they were there. When I was looking at them, as she was insulting me, there was no one who could even stand up to speak against her. They all remained quiet. They could not even say anything, for indeed she was sounding as if she was a witch because she was so heartless. I quickly learned that my mother-in-law, that was the way that she was. She liked to control the whole family, and this was how she was controlling the rest of her children. She had made sure that my husband, the youngest in the family, had gone to school and completed his education and then became a policeman. He was the only one in the family that was working. Then my husband's elder brothers and sisters, all of them, they were stuck in the villages. And my mother-in-law, she was clashing with me because she was so used to the fact that after his son would have gotten his salary each and every month, then he will just give the money to the mother and she will do whatever that she wanted. She would go out there and buy some groceries, and then one by one, her children, as older as they were, even though they had wives and kids, they would come and line up for food, and she would give them the food one by one, and they were stuck. She had made an effort to make sure that they will stay poor, from the clothes that they were wearing to what they looked like. I saw so much poverty in that family, and I felt so sad for them. I honestly thought that my mother-in-law was a witch. In her heart, she had the heart of a witch. She was an evil-hearted person. Her sons did not even have anything to say because they relied heavily on her. And when I saw that this was the situation, I chose to remain quiet, and there was a big division between me and my mother-in-law because I told my husband that now he was married, I did not want him to give his mother money anymore because I was the one who slept with him, not his mother. So she hated me a lot, and she kept on telling me that she did not want me to become her daughter-in-law. As a matter of fact, whenever she wanted to hurt me, she will call a so-called daughter-in-law. That woman would come, and then she will be doing all the household chores as if she was married to my husband. I would look at them as they will be busy washing the dishes, sweeping the compound, with my mother-in-law laughing and joking around. And when I would try to speak with my mother-in-law, she will be so angry at me for no particular reason at all. The day that God forgot about me is when I was 7 months pregnant. I felt that the baby was pushing. The baby wanted to be born, but I could not. Later on, when I had my other kids, that was when I discovered that this is what happens to me whenever I give birth. The nurses have to assist me. Otherwise, my waters won't break so easily. So this will make the child that I'll be pushing to get so exhausted, so much that the baby can even die during childbirth. That is what happened. I felt that I was getting into labor. I told my mother-in-law. She ignored. She made an effort to make sure that this child will die. I kept on pushing and pushing until I felt the baby moving no more, for my baby had grown tired and exhausted. When she saw that it was over, that was when she said I was supposed to be carried to the clinic, but my child had already passed away. From there on, I saw that God had forgotten me, because I felt to conceive again for my husband. I was suffering. My mother-in-law was so happy, considering the fact that I was unable to conceive anymore. She would say whatever she wanted. Even that woman that she wanted to become a daughter-in-law, that woman would even come and sleep with my husband. Until when I was assisted by this other elderly woman, my mom was the one who gave me the idea. There was a time when I felt so exhausted because of the fighting that was happening between me and my mother-in-law. I said it is far much better for me to just return back to Harare. When I returned back home, I told my mom everything that had happened, and I did not want to stay married to my husband, even though he told me that he just wanted a child and he loved me and we could be together soon. But I told him to let me go, for I had decided to divorce him. My mother then said, you need to fight for your marriage. My mother then took me to different prophets because we were trying for those prophets to help me to fall pregnant, but it did not happen. My husband then came back to me and he apologized and he told me that he wanted me back in the village. I said it is okay, because at that time he said he was unable to live with that woman anymore, and that woman, she went and she started staying with another man as well. So by the time that I returned back to the village, they had already broken up and she was already staying with her new husband. So I then started going around because I just wanted help so that I can fall pregnant. At that time, there was this other woman in the village who knew all of my pain, the way that I was suffering. That woman then said that she wanted to speak with her mother and to hear if her mother could assist me. So she went and she spoke with her mother, and then I went there to that woman who was a witch as well as a traditional healer. But I only got to know that she was a witch after she had assisted me. But other people, if they go to her, they'll just think that she is a normal traditional healer. I arrived at her compound and then she started speaking with me. She asked me what I wanted and I told her that I wanted a child. She said that even if you have a child, your marriage is going to fail because you do not have power over this family. You are fighting with your mother-in-law, yet she is the one who has all the power in the family. So even if you have a child with your husband, your marriage is still going to fail. I said, how about you give me a love potion? She then said, even if I give you a love potion, it is not going to save your marriage. Unless if I give you the power to even create these love potions on your own, the power to control the mind of your father-in-law, to control the mind of all of your husband's relatives, including your husband as well, then your marriage is going to stand. You are not going to get divorced from your husband. So I agreed. This woman then told me to return back to my mother-in-law's compound. I went there, and then when I returned, just like she had told me to do so, it was somewhere around 9 p.m. It was late at night when I went to her homestead, and when I arrived at her compound, that was when she told me that she was going to give me power, but in order for me to get this power, her ancestors and my ancestors, they were supposed to agree to work together. Otherwise, it was not going to work out. I then said, so what am I supposed to do? She told me to return back home and I was going to get my answer along the way. And the answer was that I was going to meet a hyena. If I was going to meet a hyena whilst I would be returning back to my mother-in-law's compound, then it meant that her ancestors and my ancestors, they had sat down and they had agreed that she was supposed to assist me. So I returned back. When I returned back to my mother's compound, it was really dark and I was so scared after this woman had told me that along the way I was supposed to meet a hyena, and if I met that hyena the next day before the sun rises up, I was supposed to return back to her compound. But if it happened that I was not going to meet the hyena along the way, I was supposed to forget about it. She said, never again will I enter with you into my consultation room, because your ancestors and my ancestors, then it will have meant that there is bad blood between both of them. So I walked back and I was running and I was so scared. I thought that maybe the spirits were going to refuse for her to help me. When I was walking, that was when I heard a hyena that was laughing. I saw a hyena when I was close to my mother-in-law's compound. I ran as fast as I could when it started chasing me. I ran and I ran. Then that hyena, when it was about to catch up with me, that was when it disappeared. The next morning, early in the morning, I went to that old witch before the sun had risen up, and then I told her everything that I had seen. She said, oh yes, indeed. It means that I am allowed to assist you. She then gave me some warm water to drink, which she had mixed with herbs as well as ashes, and she gave me a charm. She said, daughter, this charm that I am going to give you, I want you to place it underneath your tongue. You place it underneath your tongue like this when you are speaking with your mother. She gave me that charm, and then I returned back to my mother's compound and I placed that charm underneath my tongue, and then I started speaking with my mother-in-law. As I was speaking with my mother-in-law, to my surprise, I saw that now for the first time ever since I had arrived at her compound, she was now listening to me as I was speaking with her. She listened to me and she was not even arguing against me. At night, then I had a dream. In my dream, I saw that I was standing with other women. These were the same women that were in that village, and from the nearby villages. They came from different places, and that is how they initiated me into witchcraft. So at night, when I become a witch, when one who does not have spiritual powers look at me, they cannot look at me twice without fainting, because I become like a beast of the night. Usually my face, half of my face will still be me, but the other half will be like a lion's face, ready to devour my victims. I started controlling the family. I bewitched and I killed my mother-in-law. I gave her food, and the food that I cooked for her and she ate, it had some charms. I don't know if this can be a bad thing, but let me just tell you, Brother Nashi, how I created those charms. I doubt if anyone will be able to recreate the charms, because I will hide the name of the tree. There is a type of a tree that has slow poison, and this slow poison, usually it is used when you want to bewitch someone and then they can die many years later. So I don't think that it will have any harm for other people, because there are charms that you will still need to mix with the snails as well as the cockroaches when you want to poison someone. So with the cockroach and the snails alone, that cannot kill a person. So I took the roots of a name-hidden tree that acts as a slow poison. It is like real poison, so much that even if the person goes to clinic, nothing wrong will be found in their body, but you would have already poisoned the person. So I took 2 snails and 6 cockroaches. When I was busy cooking, I took the cockroaches and I threw them into the pot, as well as the snails. I put them into the stew and I continued cooking. When I was cooking, that was when I took the roots of that tree and then I started chopping them up, and then I mixed and I gave them to my mother-in-law to eat, and then she ate. My mother-in-law became sick and she died of liver cancer. After my mother-in-law had passed away, that was when I met that woman whom I used to fight against, because she was the one who had caused all of these troubles in my marriage, the one whom my husband was being forced to marry by his mother. So I then cursed her so that she can be barren, after I had heard that the man that she was now married to was a man that was taking care of her and was in love with her. And then I said to her, I want to curse you, not as to destroy your marriage. You are going to stay married, but you're going to be abused in that marriage. So much that people will ask you, why are you still married to that man? But you will stay in that marriage because I will curse you with that spirit that will make you to stay in a toxic environment. I'll make your husband so toxic to you so much that you will cheat, he will beat you, you will do all the evil things that a man can do against his wife, and you will stay barren, and I'll make sure that you will never leave that marriage until you die. That is the curse that I placed on that woman that my husband was supposed to get married to. So that is what I did. To this very day, she was never able to conceive for that man again. So what has brought me here, Brother Nash, is that I have 2 daughters and 3 sons with my husband. My kids, they are there in South Africa. It hurts me a lot because I watch other people in the village that have their sons and daughters that leave our country going to South Africa. When they go there, they work, they send money, groceries, they do come back for holidays. But as for my sons and my daughters, they are being persecuted by the demon of poverty. All of my sons that are there in South Africa, none of them have anything in life. My daughters, they also stay in South Africa, and this is what I have done to my daughters because I have a snake that is inside of my stomach. This snake, it is the one that eats the flesh of the humans that we bewitch and then we kill them. So this snake forbids my daughters to get married. I cannot allow them to get married. That is what hurts me the most. For the hyena, it is the one that forces me to go and destroy my own daughter's relationships. If I cannot destroy my daughter's relationships spiritually, then I am forced to do it physically. When my daughters are in a relationship, when they introduce their man to me, then I'll become so toxic towards that man so much that the man will end up dumping my daughter, and that will make me to become so happy. If my son is staying with a woman there in South Africa, I will cause so much confusion in their little marriage, and then they will break off. That is my own confession. I really do not want this anymore. I am looking for anyone who can assist me. If there is such a person, you can give me their phone numbers. I have done nothing apart from cursing my own husband's relatives, curses upon curses. Those that I found poor, they are more poor right now because of the curses that I placed upon them. I have kept the whole family in a spiritual prison, and I feel like it is time for me to release them, and I don't know how I can go about it. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister who was saying that she is not on Facebook or on YouTube. She is in a WhatsApp group where they get regular updates from different shows. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Let us talk about this issue in the comment section.